Banana and Bears Rugby Pod.
Welcome, everybody. I'm doing it right this time. Welcome to Banana and Bears Rugby Pod. It is the 18th of January. It is the 18th of January as you'll hear this in your ear holes. I'm, of course, Tom O'Mahony, one of your hosts, and sitting across the way, literally across all the way back over the ocean again after our lovely live event, is none other than Anna Capeless. How are you keeping?
Yeah. Good now. Very well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm perished. I have to turn off the heater, the old blowy heater here in the office because to do your head in and the listener's head in, but it's -3 outside. So yeah, it's perishing.
Is it to fuck?
It was -7 yesterday, Anna. Yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it was in the freezing temperatures here too, like 0, -1, -2. Do you know how many degrees it is today?
Go on.
14.
What?
I literally opened the windows this morning, and I have to open my windows every morning to open the shutters. And like sometimes when it's freezing, I'm like, oh my God, I'm dreading this. It was actually warm. Like there was heat coming up from the ground. It was fucking weird. And it's back to 7 degrees tomorrow. Something
Okay.
weird going on, lads.
Yeah, well, we're due. The Pistons are in at the weekend, of course, as you would
Oh,
after frost,
shit.
and it's going to be about 9 or 10 degrees then. So that can't wait. Can't wait for that.
Oh
Jesus, Mary
God.
and Joseph.
You were like me in the summer when I couldn't have the windows open to cool down. You can't have the heater on to warm up.
Yeah, yes. I'm grand, but my toes. There's nothing you can do with toes. But
Or
yeah,
water bottle.
yeah, I suppose. But look at I'm giving in then, aren't I? I think there's something Irish in me. Just loves a bit of a whinge about something. Everything else is grand on my body, just my toes. You know what I mean? So I just keep me good and gnarly and Westby on the podcast. But
Yeah.
it's people great reaction. It would seem to our live pod. It was lovely. I will have video clips out. It's just been a far busier January than I would normally in my game. It's been very, very
Oh,
busy. So, which is a good thing. It's shaping up to be an extremely busy spring. But even so far, it's been very busy. But we had since I saw you last, I tell you, I'm becoming very, very rugby-esque in the comedy world. We had the following week when the comedy club was on, when the show was on, it was lovely, it was great, and Diarmuid Barron was in, of all people.
yeah.
There you. I didn't know he's a man. He's only from up the road. God bless him. So
No.
he was in. He was in. I didn't quiz him too much. He hid down the back. In all fairness, he's there with his friends and they kept quiet. But there was, I didn't go after a poor man and he injured and everything. So I didn't want to, because I couldn't help myself. I'd have to go and ask him how work was done and then go, oh, sorry, you're out of work at the minute. Yeah. No. Do you know, I'd be that
Oh,
guy.
you ballot.
So no, I know when I'm not to go in that direction. You know, like the red button, don't touch the red button. I just won't let myself into the room that has the red button because I'll push it. Do you know? Um, and then I was last weekend. I'm back. I'm back doing the Late Late Show again. I
Excellent. Oh, you
yeah.
met some serious people.
Oh, it was serious, serious, serious. I met Jamie Dornan briefly earlier in the day. Uh, but well, as people will hear this, he's on tomorrow night, lads. But sometimes through the magic of recording and editing, he will magically appear tomorrow night. But he was there the last week. Seemed like a nice chap. Didn't get much of a chat with him, but I got to meet the great and powerful, two great and powerful men
Yeah.
in Graham Norton and Conan O'Brien. Yeah.
Two excellent people to meet. My
Oh,
God.
yeah, like buses, aren't they? Like I mean, that's not to say, me getting to meet you for the first time wasn't awe-inspiring,
Well, sure,
but
look.
sure, look it was a different kettle of fish to just watch your man O'Brien, like, and how he walks. Like there's 5 people walking with him everywhere. If he comes to stop to chat to somebody, they come to a stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was there making a TV show. He's making a show, you know what I mean? So they were all
Yeah.
kind of going, okay, well, we'll document this and we'll move on to this. This is all part of, I suppose, their schedule. So they may as well be walking in the same direction. But he was very cool. We chatted beforehand before I went out to do the warm up. It turns out his people are from Galbally in County Limerick. So
Hilarious.
only just back the road from me here. So we were chatting away
Yeah.
about that, and he was saying how his family were kale farmers and they were just before their time. And I said, geez, if they only hung about with his smoothies or whatever. But it was a good old bit of crack. But then he did something very cool. He went, "You're doing warm up, are you?" Now you're an average person, your average guest that's on, they'll be in their dressing room right up until they're about to go on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
The runner will come and
yeah,
get them because they're just sitting there supping tea or whatever.
yeah,
And because I go on for 10 to 20 minutes,
yeah.
have crack with the crowd, and then introduce the band. So the band then play for another 5 minutes, and then the show starts. Well, he came out, I didn't realize, and stood behind the curtain while I was just off to the side of the stage and stood there while I was doing my set. And when I walked off, he was right there with his hand on his chin. Straight away, the hand came out. He was like, "That was great." I'm like, "Oh Jesus
Oh,
Christ! Oh gee, talk about cool." The man
that's
didn't.
class.
The man didn't have to do that. Like, do you know what I mean? He's just a
Sure.
cool guy.
I
Like,
suppose it's so funny when he hosts a talk show himself and he's going on a talk show. Sure, it's like second nature to him. Like he's at home already, like in another, whereas other people would be very much like trying to push certain agendas or products or books or things, and they're kind of probably going through their notes or just trying to stay calm. But for him, it's just his bread and butter, isn't it? It's
it
so cool.
it was ludicrous watching a master of his art enjoying himself like effortlessly. He was
Yeah,
just super entertaining when he was like, just for shits and giggles, he had him build the front of a boat, right, with draped in Irish
yeah,
flags and Irish sorts of tassels and everything, and put casters like wheels under it, stood on it, and
yeah.
then as he got introduced, rather than coming out from behind the curtain like normal guests was, they had two lads push him on onto
I know,
set.
sure, it was brilliant.
You saw it, did you? I was
I saw that clip. Now I can't see the full thing, but I did see that clip. I thought it was feckin' brilliant.
Oh, and it was poetry in motion watching how somebody can be a guest, a brilliant guest. Do you know that kind of way? He was up there and he had all that like, but sure, I mean, you go back to when like he wrote for The Simpsons, he wrote, and then he took over from Johnny Carson, like had that show for 20 odd years. And to tell you how much of a good egg he is, he they showed a clip from him doing a very funny clip from him being at the Cliffs of Moher 25 years ago, making another TV show about Ireland.
Right.
And three of the blokes that made it with him 25 years ago are still with him. They were
Wow.
there. They were there that night, still making a new TV show with him. Do you know what I mean? So he's a good egg if lads are still hanging around 25 years later, like
That's class. I
class.
love that.
And then, of course, Graham, I no sooner had said goodbye and was walking out, and Graham Norton was standing there, just kind of nonchalantly outside the green room. He's, "Oh, hello." I says, "Oh, hello, Mr. Norton." I says, "Big fan." And to be fair, I said, "Just thought I met the king of talk show." He goes, "You did, you did, you did." I said, "No, I didn't. There's another one." I said, "In all fairness, And so it's very nice of you to say." I said, "Do you know what?" I said, "And on top of that, I said, you're unbelievably," I said, "you're exactly what I thought you would be." He says, "Oh, Jesus, no." I mean, you just, again, he was being hilarious in the moment, and there's nobody else around. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
just for the sake of being funny. And immediately when they hear you're a comedian, they perk up because they're like, "Oh, great, I have something in common with you and can talk about when I used to do it and stuff like that." And but a hell of a nice guy. Hell of a nice
Yeah.
guy. Has a spot down in
Lovely.
West Cork. Was heading down there. Has his own wine out.
I
Like,
know, sure.
there's nothing the guy can't do. Like,
I
but
know. Legend.
and that's the number one thing most people have asked me. Is Graham Norton as nice as he seems? And on top of that, he is. You'd forget the man. You'd think you know him. In fact, you know that kind of way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not that you've seen him for 20 years on his own talk show. You think you know him from somewhere because he's that affable.
Yeah.
And no airs and grace, very self-deprecating again, just same as Conan, self-deprecating, funny comedians like. So
But
it's
well, I think it was Meryl Streep that said, like, on when she was on Graham Norton's show, like she was just talking about talk shows in general, and she was like, "You're a genius. I don't know how you do it. How you get people to come out of their
mm,
shells,
it's
out
yeah.
of their shells." So naturally, and like that, she obviously then watches the show and sees people on it and big names and like god, it's just totally down to just how fucking normal he is and lovely.
There's I think after a while you can create. Some people are born with it. Some people can build it. There's physically an energy that comes off people that puts people at ease, like petting a cat. Do you know what I mean? There's something that comes off that man where he is born to be a king. You know what I mean? Of that game, like where you
Yeah.
just go, Jesus, you'd buy any kind of car off him.
Yeah.
Like you'd buy anything that man's selling
Yeah.
because he's just a noble gentleman, like, and in a
Yeah.
terrible, terrible nice fella, and interested in anybody that wants to talk to him. You're like, fuck, you must have talked the legs off of everybody on the planet. Nah, still
Yeah.
fierce, fierce, nice, like just. And I heard a very cool thing about him. Somebody told me afterwards they'd been to his show and his TV show years ago, and Mark Wahlberg was on, being a total knob, but of course he played it brilliantly. And himself and Minnie Driver actually stitched him up nicely on the same one because he was just being a knob. But
Yeah.
this gentleman that I was talking to, his wife had been on the red chair and got flipped.
Oh,
And
yeah.
but before that, his opening act, the warm up act, before the show was out, he was great. And Norton came out just at the right time. He didn't ruin his set. Like he came out at just kind of the right time. Maybe he mentioned his name or something and he popped his head around at the right time and it came out and kind of joined in. Only all he did was spur on how good the guy was doing and then threw his arm around him and went, pay attention to this guy's name. He's going to be huge. Now, I'll leave you in his capable hands and I'll see you back here in a bit. And all it did was put more turbo fire into your man's stand up set.
Yeah.
Like I was
That's
going,
that.
nobody does that. I mean, nobody does. Nobody in stand up gives you props. Like nobody does that. Like, but he came
Yeah.
out and just felt the need to go. You know what? Going to be cool because this guy's cool. It was great, and he mentioned it a couple of times to me. He was like a couple of the warm ups he had were so good that they nearly eclipsed the show. Do you know that kind of way? But did
Yeah.
they really? I don't know. But it was just being a cool guy. He was trying to tell me
Yeah.
basically how important my job was, and I was like, yeah, okay,
Ah,
it would go ahead regardless without me. Trust me. Like, but thanks very, very much. He was just again didn't have to be that cool, but super cool cat. Like you'd
yeah.
love him. You'd love them both. But of course, Graham
Yeah.
Norton, he's exactly as lovable as you think.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Two fucking great people to meet. Like they'd be high up there now on your list. When people are asking like, what have you met any celebs? Like they'd surely be two of the first you'd mention. Like
Oh
two
yeah,
huge people.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
To
I
be
love that.
from the furthest, yeah, from the far, like living in America. Even I remember going and going, I love this guy. I love him. He's just
Yeah,
so self-deprecating, but hilarious and genius at the time. And again,
yeah,
could have the biggest names on, but just will make it interesting, even if they're not. So it was very, very, very cool. You had you sent me you sent me the most, well, first, of course, for the listeners, if this is your first time listening, you're very welcome. But Anna, every so often, likes to send me a picture from a train. And I know what it means. It means she's after getting tickets. And I'm raging.
Did I tell you I was going to Toulon?
No, you didn't. You sent me a text. Do you know what you were? You were like, you know, back when you hear those stories from like in the 80s or whatever, like your man just leaves the family by suggesting he's got to go out for some milk and cigarettes, and that's the last they ever heard of him. That's how sudden you dropped these things on me, and that's how sudden you basically just said, "I'm out of here, Tom," and sent me a picture of you on the train to
Yeah,
Toulon.
yeah. I actually had it booked ages ago. Like I looked at the calendar when it came
Ah,
out, saw that there was a match in Toulon and booked flights straight away because they were fecking like cheap as chips. But over Christmas, I wasn't sure if I was going to go because, yeah, I was just fecking broke. Like, but I kind of did up the maths, seeing how cheaply I could do things, and I was like, fuck it. Like, I haven't seen Monster play away in so long.
yeah,
I really want to go, and I made it work, and fucking hell did I do it on the cheap. Like, took a blah blah car. Was I to tell you about
yeah,
blah blah car? So yes, I did tell you about. We chatted about it, the carpooling thing. Took a blah blah to Bordeaux. The flight out of Bordeaux was at 6 a.m. So we stayed in a very cheap hotel, thank God, like right next to the airport. You check yourself in, it was like a motel, and you check yourself in, it was so weird. And then was up at 4 o'clock, down to the airport, flight at 6 a.m. to Marseille, and then a blah blah bus, which was £5 from Marseille to Toulon. So I was into Toulon like early in the morning. And like, I didn't know much about Toulon. Like, obviously, you'd know about Toulon have had such a successful, like, rugby legacy for years. And like, some of the best players in the world have played in Toulon. It's this tiny little port town. Um, Jesus, like you could walk around it, in an hour, around the streets and everything.
Are we
But I was
talking
there
Mallow
early.
size? Like, just to give me a
I
gauge of the
don't
size of a town.
know. I don't know because it wasn't kind of in the outskirts, but it was small, like,
Jeez.
you know.
God,
Yes,
how did they create these things in these tiny places? Like,
I don't know. I don't know. It's just such a French thing. And like I think of, I have people like Man Anu and like who are the other big players that have played there? Like I'm like,
Johnny
where
Wilkinson has played
yeah,
there.
Johnny Wiggins, I'm like, where do they live and where do they go for coffee and stuff? Like it's just anyway, I knew that I think all of the Munster fans came in on the Friday. It's just kind of how the flights and stuff worked for people. I knew a few people that were going and they all arrived on the Friday. I knew that everyone would be fucking hanging out their arse on the Saturday morning. So I wasn't expecting to run into too many people kind of straight away. Now, kickoff was 4 o'clock on the Saturday, 4 o'clock
Yeah.
French time. So I went for an old stroll around. And I passed there was a pub, like tiny little pub on the corner, pure French little place. And they had a big Munster flag up and there was a bunch of like Munster
Cute
fans sitting outside.
bastards. Yeah, cute horse.
So I went over to them and I was like, well, lads, what's the crack? How are ye? Where are you from? And just chatted to them for a while. And they were on the gins and tonics. Now, this is about 10:30 in the morning.
Beautiful.
They were, that's exactly when it was. Because I'll tell you why I remember that. It was 10:30 in the morning. They were on gins and tonics. They were like, will you come and sit down with us for a drink? And I was like, no, thanks. Very kind. I was like, but I need to go find somewhere to have breakfast. And they were like, look, this is our hotel there. Walk in and sit down and have the breakfast. And I was like, lads, I can't. Will you stop? And they were like, you can. I tell you, they won't say a thing. Look, go in the door there. Go in and sit down and have the breakfast. Go in and sit down. And I was like, no. And they were like, right, you're not going anywhere. You're coming with me. And like, they brought me in
Stop.
and sat me down with one of these lads. And they were like, hi, do you mind if Anna joins you there? And like, sat down with your man, had the breakfast, but it was 10:30 because the breakfast was just finishing up. And they'd been going on about the sausages, like that the sausages were unreal. But by the time I got in there, all the sausages were gone. So I didn't get to have a sausage, but a lovely, like, slice of bread filled a gap for a while. It wasn't like, I wasn't going to be going around emptying all the bowls just to get my breakfast. But anyway, had the breakfast, came back out, had a gin and tonic. It's barely even 11 o'clock at this stage now.
Love it. This day is firing up to be lovely.
Oh, stop. The sun was
Oh.
out. They were sitting under a big Ferris wheel. People just kept turning up slowly. How are you lads? Where are you from? Like, Jesus. And you're just chatting away. Now, Graham, what was I say? Graham Norton.
Are we having a Gatubin moment here? Are we?
No. Well,
Okay.
sorry. The hotel that the lads were staying in, the hotel that I had the breakfast in, was the same hotel that the players were staying in, that the Munster team was staying in.
Right.
And everyone was like, what? How the fuck could they stay there? Because people were literally singing on the street till 5 o'clock in the morning. Don't know how, if the players got any sleep, but obviously they must have had their rooms to the back of the hotel or something because, well, given their result and how they played, it didn't seem to be a problem.
No.
But Graham, what's his face? Roundtree comes past and the lads are like, oh, Graham, come over for a photo with the flag, because the flag had the name of a bar in Waterford on it. And he stepped in for a photo and they were like, oh, and Anna, they were only taking the piss out of me and taking the piss out of him. And they were like, Anna, she played for Ireland. And he was like, oh, yes, I do, yeah. And I was like, I was laughing. And I was like, oh, no, I haven't actually met you before. And he was like staring at me and he was like, hang on. He was like, I know you. And I was like, oh, right. And he was like, you were at the World Cup. You posted the picture at the World Cup. And I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, that was me.
The budgie snuggler picture.
Obviously on about the budgie smuggler picture. And I was like, and all the men who were trying to take the piss out of us were like, what's this? And then Graham Roundtree fucked off. So I was like, well, you did a good fucking job of throwing me under the bus there
Oh,
anyway. And sure, of course, they all started looking it up and they all thought it was hilarious. And that was that anyway. Friends for life after the discovering that, but it was hilarious and like it was just an unbelievable day, and like people kept turning up. You're chatting to everyone, like fellas singing and like, oh, this is the other thing, like it was 99% like probably any away rugby trip for an away team. It's 99% men
yeah,
and
yeah,
one
yeah.
or two wives and daughters that have tagged along. Like it was just so remarkable, like groups of men turning up, and me sitting in the middle of all of them. I was like, Jesus, I was like, despite the breakfast, it's a serious sausage fest. And they were,
Yes, I knew. Do you know what? My fucking psyche knew that we were going somewhere with the saucies. You. That's a great callback, but that's great storytelling, by the way. This has been tremendous. This is how it's done, people.
well, it develops because one of the owl fellas was saying like, what happens if it's the other way around and like it's all women? And he was like, and it was just me sitting here, and I was like, well, you could say it's a taco fest.
Or Clamfest. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, tacos or clams, or I usually say Taco Fest, but he was like, oh my God, right. And they were all laughing at the table about Taco Fest. And then later that night, after the ups and downs of the day, and my God, what a fucking game and an
Oh,
unbelievable, like, I'll come back to that point in a minute, but from the pub we were sitting in, you literally go around the corner and you walk all along the old port, which takes a couple of minutes only, like pubs, bars, restaurants, all along the facade of the port. And it's just packed with Munster fans. And the water is there, and there's boats, and there's men selling fish from the boats, and there's cruise liners coming in and out. It is unbelievable. And right at the other end of the port, which only takes a couple of minutes to walk along, is the fucking stadium.
what? This sounds like dreams. Like this is
It is
euphoric stuff.
like
This is.
a dream rugby city. Like, you think Cardiff is good. And like, in ways, if you're going on like big games or whatever, but for a European Cup pool game, I'm not sure a town like Toulon could be topped. It
That's
was,
got the recipe that you're after. Like, because you went for a bit of a dander, and you've met class people outside a pub who class wanted to give you breakfast, and then class again. You're drinking G&Ts at 11 o'clock.
oh yeah,
Graham Roundtree rocks up. The fucking coach. What sport would you get this in, lads? Like
yeah,
the top of the pops, and like the randomness that his memory, like they talk about CTE for front rowers, his memory could remembered you from. Okay, it was a great picture from the World Cup, but you think he had a lot going on that he go, what? Wait a minute. Like for him to go through the Rolodex and find you, but that's you're describing it brilliantly, by the way. Oh my Lord. I'm definitely
but
going.
like,
This is great.
oh, like,
You should have
I
vlogged
just,
that. Christ, I need to give you the good camera. You need to vlog these
I
incredible
fucking know,
tours.
I know, but also, and I made a little reel of it, and I tried to capture it as best I could, and I was like, fuck, I wish someone would just pay me to go around to all of these
Yeah.
like French towns or rugby cities and just fucking meet people and chat to people and like go on my own. Jesus, I actually prefer going on my own now. Like I did actually, a friend of mine from Mallow was there, and friend, one of my best friends, her husband was there, and his gang of friends who were from Cork. So I was chatting to them, and we were singing on the port. I was like, "My lads, before we went to the stadium, it was a bit early, so like we need to have a sing song right here." So I just started us having sing song. My friend from Mallow was like, "I fucking heard you." He came over. He was like, "Anna must be over there." So he came down, and we were just singing, and there, an alpha from Limerick, um, a fucking gas character. He said his wife used to come with him to all the games, but she passed away a year and a half ago. And so he had her rosary beads in his pocket,
Ah,
and he was
lovely.
talking about her and telling me about her. He came over to us while we were having our sing song, and he recited a poem. I don't know what it was. I'd never heard it before, but it was just such a moment. And the sun was beating down, and Toulon fans are coming over to listen, and all these young Munster fans, listening to this older Munster fan, and Oh my God. And then, of course, like into the stadium, and the stadium, you can see the mountains, and, there's houses around, like people in their flats out in their balconies watching the game. And my God, what a fucking game of rugby. It was just magical. And like these poor Toulon fans that were next to me. And I was, chatting away to them, what you think, and are you surprised by the performance? And then like, just kind of just chatting away, normal, like rugby chat. And didn't I jump up with a fucking beer in my hand, and I poured it all over the two lads, the
Oh,
two
you
Toulon
bollocks.
fellas, who were literally at this stage, like, they know they're losing, like they know, oh geez, another fucking monster try. And this bitch pouring her fucking beer all over her head. And one of them had a bald head, and there was a load of Munster fans behind laughing. And I started like, like wiping the beer off his head. Like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And all the Munster fans behind us were pissing themselves laughing at the poor fella. The two of them, I'd say, were fit to kill him. Well, no, they actually weren't. They were very lovely about it, and they were laughing away. And just a round of applause for the players afterwards. And what a game. Everyone was fucking in high spirits. And then we went to the little tiny little Toulon supporters official bar, and fucking we were scrummaging and crowd surfing and fucking Kayleys and the whole lot. I said I said to your man, oh sorry, I didn't say it to him, but I was thinking afterwards, like, he's lucky his wife is no longer with us, because she'd actually kill him when he got home, because he had a big fucking bruise on his head from scrummaging on the street.
What age was this bloke that got a black eye or got a busted head?
Busted head, he was 70, late 70s plus
Ah,
anyway, I'd say.
right. Yeah.
Anyway, it comes to the end of the night, and it's been a fucking fierce day. And like, I'd had mostly enough of it, and we were standing around like, right, it's time for peak and pit. And we were all sharing our peak and pit. And one of the alpha said, after everything we've been through that day, like, how amazing the match was, and the atmosphere, and the sun shining, and the port, and the beer, and everything. He said the highlight of his day was learning what a taco fest was.
Amazing.
And then I had an unbelievable kebab, and then I'd say, and then I
Gafus, you're on fucking fire this evening. This is how you people. This is how you tell stories. This is
lesson one
wow.
storytelling.
That is wow. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. And then I had a gorgeous little Airbnb, like literally room for one, €50 for the night. And thank God I was able to get into it, because I didn't go back there till like 12 o'clock at night, like googly eyed, trying to put in the code and get the keys out. But it was absolutely fabulous. Place to stay, cheap as chips.
Oh,
Up the next day around the market and home again. And you know what the fucking cool thing was as well then? So I came home via Bordeaux, and Bordeaux had just played.
yeah.
So I met Saracens fans and Bordeaux fans like on the train. One fella gave me a Bordeaux flag, and then somehow, however, found me on Instagram afterwards and wrote me being like, "We'd love to invite you back to Bordeaux for a match," because I was asking
That's
them about the stadium. And then finally get back to La Rochelle that night, and Leicester were in town. So met Leicester fans on the street, and like there was loads of Stade Rochelet people. I was just like, fuck, the European Cup is cool. Just from one city to the next, like 6 teams, three big games. I was able to kind of encounter all of them. Like, it was just
like you
I
were
just
Mrs. Rugby for the weekend. My God.
yeah, yeah. I and in general, just the standard of the Champions Cup at the weekend was
Oh,
was
I
was
think
just
I think
oh
I mean whatever about and we'll get into to a couple of the games, but just you just popped it into my head. I think the game of the result of the weekend had to be Bordeaux and Saracens. How like I thought it was. I watched the highlights, and they one pops up after another, and I was watching them all, and next thing up pop. So what score are we looking at here?
yeah,
Like 55-15. Sarah, what? But anyway, it was yeah, a bit of an
yeah,
eye opener. That was my what you call it from the weekend, just result from the weekend. It was fucking unbelievable.
yeah.
That's like That is, I mean, anybody, again, if you're new to the podcast, you go back, Anna is no stranger to rocking up to places going, well, lads, what's the crack? And just
Yeah.
starting a party. Like, she's the queen of this stuff. Like, this is not,
Mm.
she didn't just, you know, just Toulon didn't just bring her out. This is what she
Yeah,
does.
it's
She
not just the
rocks up.
one soft. Yeah.
She rocks up and goes, right, lads, oh, we're starting a sing song, and dominates the scenario and makes everybody have good crack. But that sounds, I love the distance. That for me, not because I don't like walking, but I love the coziness of a place where, class. So if you're on the phone to your mate or whatever, or your friend found you just by singing. Do you know what I mean? I love that. Like it was just there's a
Yeah.
there's a damn near coziness to a place that, oh cool, the bar's just over there, place to eat is just over there, and I'm staying just over there, and the game is
Yeah.
just over there. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh Jesus,
Phenomenal. No Ubers, no real
oh
getting lost. Like, if you were lost, you were safe in another pub.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh yeah. And whoever Munster hadn't played in Toulon since 2011
What's that far back?
because they played Toulon in the quarter final, but their home stadium was too small, so they had to play in Marseille. So there hasn't been a
Yes.
Munster match in Toulon since 2011,
Wow.
which is fucking long time ago, like. So
Jeez.
I'd recommend it.
That's class. Right. Let's get into the game. So I suppose I mean we can bounce around for what games you want to talk about, but um I thought Connacht Leon. Did you get to see any of it?
I actually saw very little rugby from the weekend because I was traveling, because
Yeah.
I don't have the fucking channels, and all of the streaming services, the illegal ones, are just gone. So I've no way of
Tell me
watching any
this.
game.
Tell me this. I will send you on a link for a good one. And there's no alien ditties or nothing. It's
Yes, fucking send
are
it.
you on an Apple computer?
No.
Right, okay, you're all right. So if you're using Chrome, because Apple just goes, absolutely no way are we watching something illegal. But if
Okay.
you have Chrome on your Apple, you'll be all right. Like,
Okay. Okay.
but yeah. I mean, in fairness, Connacht, they showed up. There's a Jansen lad. I think was he number 8?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Jesus, he
I
looks.
saw that. I saw that
Oh
try.
Lord!
Fuck, that was brilliant.
But like, he is built and then can
Mm.
move like that. It was sit up in the moment, kind of, and go, let me watch that try again. Wait 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
How is this like specimen of a human moving like that? It was just so impressive to break the line. You were like, oh yeah, he's a number 8, but he'll get caught inside the first 20 meters, like, because wingers
Yeah. Yeah.
backs will
Oh,
not that he,
100%.
fuck me, fuck me. The afterburners came on and went, oh Jesus Christ, doesn't and he got up to such a head of speed after a while. Nobody was stopping that guy.
Yeah.
So Sean Jansen, I am ashamed to say I don't know anything about him. Do you know anything about him? We need to do an investigation.
Yeah, I actually I did know, because when I was doing comms for Connacht, I was looking into him a bit. Yes, interesting fella, but I'm afraid I don't want to look at my notes before I start spreading rumors or saying things that weren't true. So hang on, I'm looking at yeah. I don't know. He's fucking a fucking great find for Connacht anyway.
Where's he from? Is he British?
No, I want to say I don't know. I don't want to. I actually don't want to say, because I'll say the wrong thing, because there's a few in the squad, the Connacht squad, that kind of have come through, like, different been brought in, potential Irish heritage, but have been like, no, I don't know. I'm not going to say, because I'm just going to get it wrong.
Yes. Yeah. So don't. Yeah. Do you know what? Don't at us, but do at us if you want to tell us exactly what we need to know about Sean Jansen and that specimen that he is. I mean, they gave it Holly and Leon are no slouches. Like it wasn't a hiding that the scoreline. The scoreline ended up in the 30s, 36 or 38 or something to 20, but it wasn't a hiding. Connacht give a good account of themselves. Losing poor old Mac is out for 4 months, so
Oh,
you know
stop.
You know what I mean? And it's so I was actually listening to a podcast with him pre the injury, and he's just talking about, just to shake out the demons and of the Ireland thing and get into the Six Nations. He was so looking forward to it. It was like, oh Jesus Christ, I'm listening to this and Jesus Christ. Um, but yeah, so I great account of themselves. And none of this plucky kind of thing. They actually looked like proper
Yeah,
aggressive. They just got beaten by a better team on the day, like, but
yeah, that's
didn't
good.
capitulate from what I could see anyway.
Yeah,
Um, now
I'm glad I didn't say that now because I was about to say Aussie, but he is Kiwi.
he's Kiwi, is he? Fair
Yeah,
enough. Fair
yeah,
enough. We will, if anybody's going, when the fuck are they going to? It actually worked out great that we recorded today because, yes, we will be talking about the Ireland selection closer to the end of the podcast, but we do want to skim over some of the teams. And of course, to get our beloved Munster, not that we don't love everybody, but at the same time, we want to get Anna's opinion from the game. But Ulster, Jesus
oh,
Christ.
yeah,
I mean, you don't want to ever be playing Toulon. Yeah, ever. Or Toulouse, I should say. Jesus Christ. It's just getting better, that lad is. Dupont,
yeah.
what's
I know.
happening, like? He
It's funny.
literally, he looks
Yeah,
like the lad do you remember you'd watch a schools game or whatever, and there'd be that one lad just running around everybody because he's class. He's got 3 or 4 years ahead of everybody in whatever development. And
and
you're
you have
going,
like the parents giving out like, oh, he shouldn't be playing, or he should learn to pass the ball. It's not fair on the other
yeah,
children that he's in their age group. Can
yeah.
we do anything about it? We have to talk to the teacher there, talk to the coach there, and just say,
Yeah.
he needs to pass the ball. It's
And
just unfair on the other Toulouse players.
it literally looks like, and he's the smallest guy on the pitch, but for some reason, he just is able to go, fuck it, and just fucking bullet in any direction he wants. And a
It's so
smart player, a smart player will just stick with him. Just go, I'm just going to hang on to his coattails and see what happens. I might get a try out of this.
yeah, 100%. But the crazy thing about it is how how fit they all are then just to keep with him.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
they know they're. You're absolutely right about that. You just fucking stick with him, and if anyone eventually catches him, like he'll be able to get it to me. But like I was reading something online. Someone was just there was something about Dupont, and someone was like, "Oh, he's definitely overrated," and it just stuck in my head. And then I watched like the clips of that for the weekend, and I was like, "Whatever, like say whatever you want." He's just ridiculous, like.
He's gotten better from hanging out with the sevens. Like he was doing stuff at the weekend that looked like seven players would, like it looks like a sevens player would give it a go. And I think the shackles are off. He's like, sure, I'm not even playing. I'm not even going playing, lads. I'm going to the
Yeah,
Olympics of the tattoo and altar. Sure,
yeah.
lads, let's give it a fucking whirl. And he's just pulling tough and every fucking.
What do you
I
mean?
gen.
He didn't get the tattoo already, did he?
No, he didn't. He didn't. He didn't.
All
But
right, fucking
Dan,
hell.
he should. He should
I was about to
because
judge. No, no, no. That's a terrible curse to put on
it
yourself.
would be, I suppose. But you know what? He could because it's Antoine Dupont, and everybody would go, yeah, fair,
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
Antoine Dupont, and he can. I think we might be looking at the best player to have ever played this shit. I swear to God. I'm watching him going, how, like, Ulster aren't bad. They've class players.
Mm.
But even his own players are going, what? How the fuck is he going
Mm.
and going and going? And it's not
I
like this
agree.
plucky, I hate when they keep on using, like, it's so lazy and low hanging fruit that the commentators keep on using. Oh, the petit general. Jesus Christ, lads, that's been fucking drilled into the ground. Come up with something else. Like, and you're going petit general. That fella's not general. He's just doing whatever he wants. That's all. He's the bully in that he just goes, I'm just doing whatever I want. I'm going to win this whole match by myself.
Yeah.
To
No.
quote the great Mac Hansen again, he actually claimed in the interview I listened to, he says a great phrase. He was like, people always say, "Oh, I want to play against the best to test myself." When it comes to Antoine Dupont, I'm absolutely grand if I never play him again. He goes, "No, I
Really,
never want to play that guy ever, ever."
brilliant. But he's just so, he never fucking barks at the referee. He's never barking at the lads. Like
Nah.
he's just head down doing the job. It's so cool to watch. Speaking of the commentators, commentators talking shite.
Mm.
Did you hear what that commentator said about Louis Rees Zammit?
No, 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 no. An unbelievable piece of news, but go on. Yeah, I didn't hear it.
So
No.
this was Louis Salmon was already like trending before shit actually hit the fan with him. But from who did they play? Who did Gloucester play? Um, the commentator said, you know, there's no point. The players have to work to create the space. There's no point giving the ball to Louis Rees Zammit when he's got too much work to do. He needs more space. And literally, this he was saying that as was a line out going on, came off the top of the line out to the 9, to the 10, to Louis Rees Zammit, who skims around like literally through the tiniest of gaps, in, out, steps a player, like literally does so much work, like fuck made the commentator look like a fool, sound like a fool. He literally said, "Oh, there's no point. The Louis Zammit doesn't give space, like he can't do anything," and he literally just right on cue. And that's what the other commentator said, was like right on cue. Louis Zammit in the gap, scores the try, whatever, brilliant. And with this will come in with our fucking Six Nations announcement, but then he fucking disappeared.
What do you mean? Oh, what do you mean he disappeared?
Well, he's gone now.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry. Yes, yeah, yeah. Like unbelievable.
Poof,
Like yeah.
poof.
I mean, we'll get onto it in case anybody's going. What the fuck? Pause it now for the crack, or wait for the big bomb that's coming about Louis Reed Zammit. Ulster didn't show up either, in my opinion. I can't work it out. I said it a couple of months ago. They play unbelievable one week, and the next week it's Jesus Christ. I don't know.
Sorry,
Uh,
Tom, all the fucking provinces are like that. Bar
yeah,
Leinster,
yeah.
Munster,
True,
Connacht,
true,
we're all
true.
the same.
Yeah,
We're all the
that is
same,
true.
whatever the fuck's going on.
Yeah, I think it's well, definitely this season, and I mean you could argue maybe, I don't know. I mean, Ian Henderson is a great captain and stuff, but there seems to be something different happens when the likes of Peter O'Mahony steps onto the field. It's like this. Everybody seems to have their trousers pulled up right, like when it comes like Munster. Now I know they played the last two games were in unbelievably shit conditions, but yeah, hot and cold stuff happening. But it seems to be. I don't know, is a trend of Ulster the last while. Like they've some unbelievable players, but then again, could it all just be down to the fact that they're looking at the bollocks that the unbelievable wizard that is Andrew Dupont, and you're going, oh, we're playing him and the rest of the lads. Right, great, for fuck's sake. Do you
Do
know?
you just stop trying then?
I wonder what it's like to just have that fella, and you're at the top of your game. You're possibly an international. You've done unbelievable things through since your childhood. You've been class, and then that guy just goes no, and just runs around you with a fucking fag hanging out of his mouth and a baguette under the other arm, going no, no, and
Mhm.
just does whatever he wants, just
Yeah.
and runs with so much power and everything. It's like, oh my lord. Um, Leinster again, Stad. Weirdly, I saw uh the yeah, what's his name? Good God Almighty, Bernard Jackman. Now, I mean, it was it was sensational, a small bit like, but he went, maybe the EPCR need to look at it on the Leinster game because Stad showed up with the young fellas. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a hiding because maybe they're loading for the top 14, but it was a hiding. Like it was a hiding. Like they nearly 50 points on him, and in the last play of the game, Stade got a try. It was not even consolation. It's like what? Like they were
Yeah.
just,
Well,
you know,
yeah.
um, Caelan Doris looked unbelievable again. Like
Yeah.
Jesus, did you see him just galloping? He just galloping, and
No, I saw one of his tries. I didn't see him galloping.
it was just like they're just trying to hold on to him. And you're like, no, forget about it. He's just so powerful.
Yeah.
It was ludicrous to see it,
Yeah.
and Larmer has played himself back into the shop window again after being out in the cold for a long time.
Yeah.
But he was unreal. But Stade Francais
Delighted for him. Yeah.
were pure shit. They were pure shit. There's no other way of
Yeah.
looking at it.
Yeah.
And they'll know that. It was nice for him to get a truck out. I was delighted to see Tyke Furlong back after the loss of his father and stuff. He was back playing. But they gave Sam Prendergast an old rattle off the bench as well in the second half, about 20 minutes in, because they were like, Era, show what can go wrong, really.
Yeah. Rest
St-
the legs up, sure.
yeah, yeah. But so moving on to the Munster match. Munster played Toulon, as Anna was telling us. She was at the match, and Jesus Christ, oh, was it as unreal? Sure, of course, the atmosphere and everything. Were you able to keep an eye on it going, let's wish 1 second, I'm watching this with an actual expert's eye here, or was the crack just too good?
A bit of a combo
Right.
because
Nice.
um yeah, because I had a French fella to one side of me and then had like uh same group of Alphalas. They're the ones who sold me the ticket. So it was a nice ticket, like just by the 22, like right where Calvin Nash caught the ball. So we had a good bit
Oh,
of action in front of us, like, and yeah, I suppose there wasn't too much expert viewing going on, but the tries were so kind of entertaining and like big moments that like you were able to just enjoy those because the whole crowd was getting into it. Like, you know, it wasn't no, it was just brilliant. Like, I would have liked to watch it back. I just haven't had a chance yet. So I'll just, you know, just soak it in for now in terms of like just enjoy it for what it was. And the tries were just so good, like, and fucking Craig Casey was so good, and Zebo was so good, and
oh,
like the players were just loving the connection to the crowd. Kind of like it's funny, like there's fellas shouting stuff, and you'd see the players kind of look over and acknowledge what they were saying almost.
nice,
Yeah,
nice. That's
yeah,
pro. That's. I think that's the next evolution of rugby. I'm not saying you got to go pure wrestling, like, and start waving your hand to your ear like Hulk Hogan or like that. But it is nice. Like Zebo's in the twilight of his career, and obviously still pulling it off. But he's always had that kind of thing. Like he'll give the audience the Z sign. He'll give him a wink when he's walking back, or he starts waving
yeah,
his hands in the air to get him pumped and stuff.
yeah,
And Jesus Christ, it doubles the value on your ticket. You're like, yeah, we're in it with you, boys. We're in
yeah.
it with you. I love it. I love to see that. Like more interaction, the better.
Everyone does, yeah, absolutely. Especially when you've traveled to this small little town. And the
And you're
one
staying in
thing
the
is,
same shagging hotel, have you?
yeah, and like they were coming out and they were saying hello to everyone, and
Oh,
like
class.
they're now the apparently the Toulon players walk along that port to the stadium, but they didn't actually do it. They went by on a bus, and we waved at them.
They heard about
And
your singing and went, we're done. We're done. She'll crush us with her singing.
oh, it's
Uh,
disappointing. I thought that they were going to walk. I thought it'd been so cool to watch, but Munster were thinking of it, of walking as well, and in the end they decided not to because they didn't want to, get too wrapped up in an occasion before you actually do anything. But I was like, oh my god, it would have been so cool. It's probably one of the only cities in the world where you could actually do that.
that's
You
like
know,
walking
walk.
gladiators to the Colosseum or something. That's
Yeah,
unbelievable. That's
I
pure
know.
sport.
I was scolded when I heard they weren't going to do it, but I understood it as well. But I was like, fuck, that would have been unbelievable.
Um, I would love if they did player cam in rugby. They don't really do it like they do in soccer, but my
Yeah.
God, I would I would pay for it myself to have somebody hired to watch John Hodnett. Like,
Ah,
sweet,
stop.
sweet.
He was fucking brilliant.
He, Jesus Christ, man, he has an engine. Like,
Yeah.
and he just goes about his business again, nearly in the Dupont-esque, like just milling everybody. Everybody gets it. Everybody's
Yeah.
getting it. And
Yeah.
everybody's getting in the face, but then head down, no cribbing, on to the next one. I love how much he works. And he's not the biggest seven in the world, but my God, fellas know they've been hit by him when he hits them. Like,
Hmm.
Jesus. I mean, I there was a lot of players I just loved. It was that it didn't end up being like mistakes by Toulon. You know what I mean? It was actual. Holy shit! These are all show
Yeah.
like the show reel moments. Like
Yeah.
Tom Ahern. What show reel
Tom
stuff?
Ahern. Like it does feel like, if they can kind of back this up, and I know you've said this before as well. This is the new Munster identity. Tom Ahern, Hodnett, Lockman, Casey, Crowley. There's other fellas there, and like just to have kind of Peter Manny still there, like to kind of fucking lead the way, show them how it's done, and have them like step up to those moments, and like, if we could just have bottled what it was with that they had at the weekend and just drink that for the rest of the season, like. But it's genuinely, I thought I was going down there as like moral support.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I thought, you know what? We come away with a losing bonus point. Our heads are held high because it's Toulon, and you're like, geez, I mean, it's Toulon. They're
Everyone
class
thought the
in
same.
Toulon.
Yeah,
Like,
everyone thought the same. But speaking to just a kind of word on the street beforehand, like they had just a fucking brilliant week of training.
did you?
And they were like,
I don't know how
doesn't
close to the.
matter what happens. Sorry?
I don't know how close to the coalface you came, but I heard word on the grapevine that a bit of a set two between Graham Roundtree and Peter O'Mahony damn near happened. I don't know if you
Oh,
came. Yeah, I'm after hearing that twice. I don't
oh
know,
no
which is
way.
which is for again for any fair weather fans. You're, oh no, trust me, that's a good thing. That's
High
a,
intensity fucking driving standards.
yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah,
know
yeah.
as well that when Peter Manny's there, things are different.
That's they really are. They really are. Like, I mean, he's a class player, but everybody, like, Jesus. I mean, there's so many TikTok accounts. You'd have called Big Pete, Scary Pete, Pete the Goat. Like, there are so many accounts, and it's just clips of him being a gnarly bastard. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
How can you not get behind that? Like, because he leaves
yeah,
everything there. Like, so you can see how 10 to 20% comes on. You know, not
yeah,
taken away from. Oh, like, Jesus, that you talk about fines with that Jansen kid. Your man Nankerville, mother God,
yeah,
he wants it, doesn't he?
yeah,
He wants it big time. Like, I mean, Anton Frisch, who was the star, he's nearly being overshadowed like a small bit. I think possibly they
yeah.
could, I think, pull in Nankerville's horns a small bit because I think he's going to be copped in within the next couple of matches. They're going to go okay because he's going to always run and crash it up, and he's going to break
Mm.
a tackle or two. He's going to crash it up, but they need to find a way of getting his arms free to let Frisch loose because you know what I mean. Frisch is unbelievable, but my jeez, I mean, and delighted for Joey Carberry. How happy, like you know what I mean. The warmth that I'm guessing the audience because you could hear him on the telly. You
Yeah,
did while it was Toulon's game, you could hear the fields of Athenry. You could hear, oh, fair
yeah,
play to you lads. It was what was great at the break because you know when you're watching on the illegal ones and they go to normally it just stays on one camera that stays on the pitch. It
yes,
doesn't cut back to the studio. And
yes, yeah,
you see the lads milling out making, you know, because they have a little under sevens game or something or whatever.
yes,
Um and you can kind of hear milling around of like people who work at the stadium and stuff. But obviously the camera or the microphones must be near the entrance to the tunnel or whatever. But you could hear like the most monster sounding owl fella. It's probably all your mates. Fair play to you. Come on, fair play, boys. Jeez, you're flying it. You're flying it now, man.
I actually meant to comment on that. Do you remember I was saying, and this was one of the things like, fuck, I hope I remember to tell Tom this. Remember I was saying about the Leinster fans a few weeks ago in La Rochelle and just
Yeah,
how Leinster they were, like
yeah,
in
guys.
various ways. Doesn't even matter what it is. The Munster fans are something else. Like, fucking exactly what you're saying, like, on the lads, like fucking farming, hearty, hardworking community, like, oh, like, and there were so many things that were said, and I was like, shit, I need to write that down so I remember to say it because it's just so monster.
Yeah,
And like Limerick City accents and Cork accents and country Kerry, Waterford tip, like fucking like yeah, just quality, like yeah,
you can.
monster
Yeah,
heart.
you can see why people adhere to him and different. They seem to have always gotten on anywhere they travel in the world because it's just like you know that country vibe people you meet, like they're nothing will phase them. Yeah, be grand,
Yeah,
kind of kind of an attitude. Like they don't have, you know, full well they don't have the folder with the foolscap, like and what's happening next to be like, sure, look at, be grand. Once you see
yeah,
the red, you'll be all right. Like, but
yeah.
it was just great. It was it was better than any cutting back to studio. Just listen to these
Yes.
outlaws. Oh, Zebo! It's one outlet went, Zebo, you're having a flyer.
Yeah, 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 that kind of stuff.
And yet that has to ring through. Like if you imagine like you're in Nankyville or whatever, you're coming over from New Zealand, do you know, or whatever, and he's hearing, fair play to you, Nanks. Well, Nanks, fair play to you. Well, you know, and he's like, "Jeff, fucking heck, they're talking to me like a GA
Mm,
match. Do you know, like a
yeah,
junior GA match? Like they're actually
yeah.
talking to me. This is amazing. And these people have paid a fortune to come
Your
over
dad
here
went
for.
up to do the cows in the morning.
It was
You
it
know.
was great to hear, and geez, it was a like it definitely finished up like the better team absolutely won. Like, but some of the new age have absolutely stuck their hand up, and it's class. I thought Crowley. I mean, he gave Jesus Christ, he kicked the ball. All right, he was giving it a go, but he knew the second he kicked it because he ran. He just backpedaled. The second he kicked it, and with a manky kick, he tried to dink it through, and it landed straight into Fijian's hands, who ran around everybody and scored a try, or passed it,
Yeah,
scored a try.
you
But in
know.
fairness, didn't falter, gave that unbelievable. I'd love to hear the dialogue of what that Zebo try, the lead up to it is, you
Mm,
know, because Zebo was like, well, this has got me written all over. I used to do this with Finn Russell. Go on, ship it through for me, son. You
mm,
know, what's the code or whatever?
mm,
Because it was
mm,
just, it looked
mm.
simple. Do you know what I mean? It looked so easy.
I know.
But again, of course, you want to see Simon Zebo on the scorecard. It was a great, yeah, great win for Munster. Gives them a right. They have who have they got? Northampton, I think, next weekend in
Yeah.
Tormund. So um, just fierce, exciting. So that wraps up, I suppose. Did you have any other on the ERC over the
No,
weekend?
no. Just I loved it.
It
I'm
was
saying like obviously I was like, what a weekend of rugby. Like it was only the tries and like main highlights I was able to see. So maybe I was like just spoiled at that because I actually didn't get to see like as many matches as I usually would because I was
um
on a some mode of transport all weekend.
yeah yes or the ha-has or whatever what you call them wag wags
Oh, blah blah car.
blah blah.
Jesus. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We'll have to get you to do a full how to get around Europe, correctly. Do you know?
I know.
Because all of these things you're telling me are absolutely. Do you know? I'd be any tourist uh, office would absolutely be licking their lips at me because I go, oh, what's we doing next? Because normally if I'm gigging abroad, they literally give you, they give you itinerary and they have somebody pick you up and stuff like that. So you're going,
Yeah.
okay, like a total wally. So you don't have to fend for yourself at all. Like, so I would appreciate. I think the listeners would just to give a full breakdown of what Anna's how to get around Europe on a shoestring kind of a scenario and still have unreal crack. Right. Before I forget it, before we get into the Ireland selection and the Six Nations selection, before I forget it, the Netflix show that they shot comes out on the
Mm,
23rd.
yeah,
I refuse to watch the trailer. I refuse because I'm assuming it looks unbelievable. Like,
yeah,
um, apparently, what's supposed to be brilliant is uh how Peter O'Mahony was not into it at all.
yeah.
It doesn't surprise me in the
No, it
least.
doesn't
It do,
fucking surprise me either. While we're on Peter Manny, yeah, I must actually. I've been invited to the premiere of that next week. I don't know if I can go or not. Um, so I might.
what?
I need
What now?
to. Yeah, I know. I need your advice on this now, boys. It's not to be discussed in the podcast.
Yeah,
So I
oh
don't know.
God.
The
I'm good.
listeners
I'm
next
good.
week
I'm
will.
good at this stuff. At this stuff, I'm good at. This.
I feel like I know what you're going to fucking say already.
Yeah.
But speaking of Peter Manny, now captain for Six Nations,
Oh my God.
like I know when we were discussing it, we both of us. I don't even know if we said it or did we even. I don't think we even dared to dream that it would be given to Omani.
Yeah, I think no, we did, but we kind of figured in that are they starting their 4 year cycle, and we're going, well,
Yes,
will Peter
exactly.
make it to the next World Cup? He might. Johnny Sexton did, and he's playing the best rugby of his life right now, which
Oh,
is saying something
completely
from
agree.
Peter. And he's not getting himself killed like he used to do those jackals before. Do you know? Because
Yeah.
the game is kind of moved from the normal jackal, like because they're really sticky over the body weight and all the rest. So he's not getting hammered anymore like he
Yeah.
used to.
Yeah.
So who knows? But we thought it might be James Ryan, thought it might be Tyke Byrne. Stood down from the Munster job, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Left it to Tyke, and then we assume he's leaving it to Tyke. It had been Dermot Byrne um, as practice, I suppose, up until then.
Yeah.
But to get, yeah, I mean, dare we?
I was fucking delighted reading. I was like,
Oh,
fucking yes. I just didn't think they'd give it to him. I don't know for I suppose those reasons or just a monster head in general. Like I don't know. I just didn't think it was going to happen when I read it. I was like, fucking yes. Apart from that squad, and I was like Calvin Nash in there. Fucking
yeah,
delighted for him. Um, like Tom Ahern is in there as like a
training
trainee.
panelist. Yeah,
Yes. A
Ollie
couple of
Jaeger
others.
and that Sam Prendergast kid are in there too. I mean, Ollie Jaeger, what a story! Just
Yeah.
back, big moustache, gets knocked out 2 games ago. Um, Unbelievably, just ran so hard and just in between two knees got knocked out and played like two
Yeah.
games. And but I mean, let's be honest, he knew full fucking well coming leaving the Crusaders that he was it Crusaders or the Highlanders he was with? Who was
I
it?
don't know.
Crusaders. Anyway, he knew full well that phone call had been made going, you come home and it'll be worth your while. Just saying there, kid. Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, why wouldn't you want him? He's 20 stone and he's 6'4" and he's a really good prop and he's won six. Yeah, it is the Crusaders because he's got six super medals. So
Oh,
he's got something.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, Calvin Nash. I mean, we talked about him earlier, but there's no argument. I had the back row. I actually had it up there. I mean, poor old John Hodnett. Like, I mean, even you go, well, what more is he gonna do? But what are you gonna do? Like Josh, you got obviously Peter
Yeah.
Mahoney, Josh Van der Fleer, Caelan Doris, Jack Cronin, Nick Timoney, and Ryan Baird. I'm not gonna say like there's almost none of them could you judge and go, oh yeah, well, you can be fucking Nick Timoney, I think because he's probably been in there a fair bit and he knows the gist and the lay of the land. I wouldn't have minded seeing Al Hodnett in the training panelists at least. Just
Same, yeah, same.
let him in there. Let him in there. See can he go around just taking names at
Yeah.
training like.
Do you know what though? And I agree. And there's a lot of comments like, this isn't building towards the next World Cup. This is just but kind of an old stale squad. It's not like a lot of those players are still so young, like
Yeah,
and fucking
yeah, yeah,
coming into their prime. But also like, it's good for Munster.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
they can stay home, hammer their name into the fucking walls, and keep that going for a while. Like just because you're having a good season doesn't mean you'll get called into Ireland. Like I fucking been there. So many players have been there. It means that when it finally does come, you're actually a better player anyway. Like when you actually get your chance, you will be better anyway. So I know, and it's frustrating because everyone wants everyone to be rewarded immediately when they're playing like that. Like, what more does this person have to do with it? But there's a lot of players in Ireland like that. A lot of, when you look across the
oh God,
provinces,
yeah,
so many young players like that. And it just means that you just have to go again and you have to be better, but you will be better. You'll have a whole year more experience, and you get that experience when your international players are gone from the squad as well. So you get to fill those shoes as well. So, why by the time the next selection comes around, it's not a bad thing. You will be in a better place. Like if you weren't ready this time, by fuck will you be ready the next time?
well I mean in all fairness like there's no cribbing I suppose just to take Hodnett as an example but there's no cribbing in that. Who's he going to move? Josh Van der Fleer. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
Ryan Baird,
exactly.
he ain't gonna, But I would also say there's possibly not saying there's a bit of safety in it because, well, Calvin Nash, you just couldn't deny that man. You just couldn't deny him. Like that try he scored the other day. I mean, that ironically or coincidentally, I should say, it was a pure Matt Canton special, full tilt like that one he scored against France that time. Do you remember when he caught him napping at the
Yeah,
the kickoff?
yeah, yeah.
Now, the thing here's the thing. I mean, I know he's got a more experience starting time in the saddle, starting for Ireland, But I would love, and I don't get nerdy about rugby because I don't like to look at numbers and stuff like that because I love it for its organic wildness. But I would love to see the speed and the actual time of fingers on ball to ball leaving fingers for Craig Casey over the weekend with a couple of them passes.
Mm.
I can't think of any player in the world right now who must have finger muscles like that lad. He was
Yeah.
shifting it off the deck with pinpoint accuracy. Fucking
Yeah.
pinpoint accuracy, 20 meters. Like that ball was stinging Crowley's hands when it was hitting him. Like you knew it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see that time.
Yeah.
Like the
It'd be
time
interesting.
fingers
Yeah.
on, fingers off. Because I guarantee you they have the metrics. I guarantee you they do.
Mm.
Just because he is playing and he's a boss going around the place. He could start for me. He could start with especially with Crowley. Crowley's going to start. He has to ahead of Harry Byrne and Kieran Frawley. Just he has to. He's the starting number 10 for his
Yeah.
province and playing shit hot. It was just
Yeah.
it was very very impressive to watch Casey in action the last day. Like
Yeah.
but also too, I suppose it was said to me by not a critical chap, but he's a bit of a cynic. But he went, well, is it safer to pick a rake of lads you know can do the biz? Which is kind of it's kind of a moot argument anyway, because like, well, that's your whole fucking job is doing the biz and winning shit and making money for the RFU. Is it better that is Andy Farrell doing that because he may have one eye on Lions work? I'm like, okay, maybe. But at the same time, you can't fault a fella for trying to win the Six Nations either with the best team he can get his hands on, like,
Yeah. You know.
um, which I mean, it's like other than not winning the World Cup, it's all fair gravy for Ireland right now. Like, it's all unbelievably looking good. Like, their coach has become the Lions coach, which means practically the entire Lions team is going to be Irish, which is class.
I
Um,
don't know. I don't know, Woody.
No, he wouldn't. No, no, he's just one of he wouldn't pick his son if he didn't think he was even good enough. You know what I mean? He's that sort of
Yeah.
fella. Sport comes first. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure,
I'm
you
I'm
mightn't
be
pick him anyway.
yeah. He mightn't with his
You
yeah
need to be playing for
yeah.
one of those countries. Maybe that's why. Maybe he didn't want to play for. Maybe he didn't want to play for his dad. So he was like, I need some time out and I don't want to be in contention for the Lions.
Jesus, yeah. Didn't even think about it like that. But
No, me neither.
he'd be back by the. I'd say be back by the time the Lions come back because he'll be
Yeah,
fresh. A fella like him won't stay away that long. Like,
no, no, no. He's probably already being like, oh, Jesus.
oh
You know,
yeah.
with squad coming out and stuff, like you'd have to be fucking busy that day.
So yeah, yeah. You would,
Mm.
yeah. You'd have to. Jesus, I must head to Woody's and buy a load of stuff and leave the phone in the fucking car because I can't be looking at that. You'd have to
Fucking hell,
find
I've seen
some
that.
bog or something in the back of nowhere to go for a walk or something. Just yeah.
I went to Waterford
What?
when I
Where in Waterford did you
when
go during the selection times? Was it?
when we were waiting on selection for the World Cup. I couldn't handle it, and I just hopped in my car and drove to Waterford and went up the Comer Mountains,
Oh,
and I found a place called the Magic Road. I'll never forget it. And I was like taking photos, but like my phone was on airplane mode because I didn't want to know anything about anything. So I was just like driving around the Comer Mountains waiting for selection.
so there's a yeah. There's actually a report out on a woman who's just driving slowly and creepishly, looking out the windows around the Cumberland Mountains at the minute. But sure, look at
The car is reversing up the hill.
it's so we're going to win the Six Nations and just
Oh
here I
yeah,
go
sure.
again.
Look, didn't I say it? Look, I'll take a win in Six Nations. Yeah.
I mean, the big story coming out of it, we like, there's no major surprises. Great to see Tom Ahern getting in there as the panelist. Great to see Calvin Nash getting it. You, I mean, I'd love to see, like, I wouldn't blame Shane Daly if he would consider. Well, I don't know, would he get a look in? But I mean, if he'd consider the Olympics, because you'd have to let him go. Like, I mean, he's got sevens written all over him. Like, he's
Mm.
um, but I think the big story to come out of it, I think everybody has to be happy. Everybody has to be happy that Peter O'Mahony is the captain. Like,
Mm.
there's not to say that lads wouldn't get behind James Ryan, but you'd probably go class. Yeah, he's class. Yeah, sure, he's class. But when they hear Peter O'Mahony, you're going, yes. Same as Andy Farrell. You'd go through a wall for either one of them men, like, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You'd put the body on the line for either one of them. You go because they're going to, they're
Yeah. No, I'm
um
delighted for him, like, especially after kind of being on, the Ireland fringes and pushed out of the squad as well for a while to be back in as captain is just,
what a great story.
yeah.
Um, so to wrap up, we are very excited about all things there. But look, more will come from. There's a bit more Champions Cup to be played. And everything else. They're going training. But big news from we kind of mooted if anybody didn't bother googling Lewis Rees Salmon right now. That crazy mofo, and
Would like apparently like the NFL got in touch with him on Sunday
here on
and
Sunday.
like Warren Gatland found out an hour before. Gloucester got in touch with Warren Gatland, I think. I think he just went to them and was like, look, these lads contacted me yesterday. I need to make a decision. Thought about it on Monday, and on Tuesday he decided, okay, I'm going to go and play in the NFL. And told Gloucester, like literally went to Gloucester and was like, can I be released? I want to go play in the NFL. And like, I don't think it sounds, he obviously discussed it with them and everything. But like, I was thinking from the NFL point of view, were they like, they obviously have their eyes on rugby players a lot. They obviously have scouts, but were they like, do you know where we'll find someone that will actually jump ship? Wales.
Yeah, yes. Here, you'd be guaranteed his agent was sniffing around too. They didn't just go knocking on his mother's door going, sorry, have you a number for your son there? I
Yeah, yeah,
guarantee you
true.
the agent. Because here's the thing. Yeah, you're right, jumping ship from Wales and stuff, but um, like if he makes it through that academy, that he'll go into first to see if he can hit the numbers and stuff like that. It's like a mini combine, I think it is, but see, can he catch a ball being pelted at head height? Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
At 100, 150 miles an hour by these lads while running full tilt and get hit by a player coming from any direction. Do you know,
Yeah.
can he still catch the ball? I think he'll be probably, I watched, as soon as it came out, of course, TikTok and all the rest, and they were showing clips from, was a Wade chap that went from Wasps to play.
Yeah, Wade. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's an Australian fella, um, with a kind of an Irish sounding name. And
Yeah.
they're kind of a special team that come on. Like there's about two or three teams that come on the pitch. There's the offense, the defense, and then there's this other team. But there's the catch from kickoffs, basically like a fullback catching the restarts. And that's the Australian fella seems to be. And you're, in all fairness, they're expecting you to get it up to the halfway, thereabouts. But this Australian guy is unbelievable. They can't work out his sidestep. It's not like the normal, I suppose, what would they call? I don't know. They don't call it a sidestep in American football. They call it something else. But
Mm.
it's a rugby one, and his fend is not a fend. It's not just a stiff arm out. He's actually finding the player and fucking him out of his way. That just
Yeah.
enough. And of course, when you're wearing all that old gear and your man points your helmet in the wrong direction, so you don't know where you are. So he's making serious yardage, which of course you get paid for every yard. But even if you get a rookie contract, if Louis Rees gets picked up by an NFL team, his rookie contract for 1 year is 850,000 buckets. Be a while looking for that now, playing in
Yeah.
Wales. Do you know what I mean? In Gloucester, even like he ain't,
Yeah. No.
um,
Sure, you might as well. Like it probably, if you look at Christian Wade and like he came
that
back kind
Christian
of with his
Wade.
tail between his legs. But like you might as well. Sure, even if you did come back with your tail between your legs, at least you'd have money in your fucking arse pocket.
And you'd have a class story.
You
Lads,
know?
give the
Yeah,
NFL a go.
definitely. Well, especially when you've achieved so much so young. Yeah, I don't think people would begrudge him. It is just kind of disappointing, especially like so many young players now that would look up to Louis Rees-Zammit, and he's obviously one of Wales' strongest players. It's disappointing for them and disappointing for the Six Nations in general. But like, this is just fucking money talks.
Yeah. And I mean, he's young, he's flashy looking. Wales does produce lads that like to be flashy with
Mm.
shiny hair and stuff like that. And wouldn't be beyond, um, it wouldn't be completely out of the pale to think somebody like, say, back in the day, Gavin Henson wouldn't have given that a go too. Like, snazzy lads. There's nothing snazzier than the NFL, than American sports. Do you know what I mean? Famous
Yeah.
people go to him, the big parties and all. A year or two out, it could be the best year or two in his life. He'll have some story to tell from it. He'll probably make a documentary around him. It would be if I was a documentary maker, I go, let's put a team on this guy because this is going to be
Yeah.
an interesting story. Uh, Fair play. I actually think it's a great story. I mean,
I
I'd
know.
hated it if it was an Irish player, but and as you said, like poor old Warren Gatland, Jesus, getting that news. Ara, for fuck's sake, what the fuck?
They're just scribbling his name out with the pen as if he's like, sick that day in
Tipex.
school.
Has anybody got Tipex? Like,
Yeah, fuck's sake. Yeah, what do you do? Jesus Christ.
by Jesus.
Anyway, it
Hey,
starts soon.
it
Still,
starts
like,
soon.
even though I think this time last year, do you remember? My God, my excitement for the Six Nations was the excitement was like palpable. I was like, oh my God, the Six Nations so soon after Christmas. I love it so much. This year, I'm like, oh, yeah.
I
Okay,
know
come
you've
on.
PTSD. I know you've PTSD. But
Yeah.
look what the crack you had at the weekend and your love affair for rugby and everything. Like and now Peter O'Mahony is going to be captain. I
I
mean,
am going to that first game as well.
well, thank you for telling me, and you're not just going to
Right.
drop it on me. I
Fuck, I shouldn't have told you at
that
all.
would have been great just to drop another. I think
But you know what I did?
I'm
I
hosting
looked
some
at the
stuff for it. I think in Limerick.
oh class.
Yeah.
Do you know what I did when I saw the date? I looked at the calendar, saw what date it was on, and booked myself a hotel in Paris. But it's not on in Paris at all.
Nah,
So yeah, good thing I checked that out because I would have been in Paris doing making a reel of the same fucking empty streets after the World Cup when Ireland came out. This is what I was going to ask there a minute ago now before we finish off.
yeah.
Uh, right, I think that the neighbor upstairs. Hang on, I'm looking out. Something frightened me outside the window. Something's moving now. Bear in mind, I live on the first floor. There's a bag swinging from one of the floors upstairs outside my window.
Has he got beer in it or
Um,
something?
no,
Drugs.
it's like blowing in the wind. I don't know.
If it's just flapping in the wind, is it hanging from a string? Like, has it been tied off, or is it
Yeah,
just
like
an?
a string. Like,
Could you get to it? Like, could you get a scissors and snip it?
no, I can reach it. I'm afraid to look into it.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't look into that, Anna. I wouldn't look into it, and I'm not being
Sure.
prejudiced
I can't
against.
see the shutters. It's in the way.
No, don't like. He might
Okay,
have
so
shit
you're
in that
saying
or anything.
no. Right. Oh,
Do you know what I
okay,
mean?
right. You're saying no, right. I won't open it, so I won't open it. I
No,
won't
I
open it.
honestly like 4 or 5 years ago, me would have said, "Rip that fucking thing down and open it up live on the podcast." But you're in France. There might be a gun in it, and he's
I
hanging.
know,
You know
I
what I
don't know
mean?
if it's a cultural thing. Like, if someone hangs something outside your window, what does that mean? But yeah,
Don't
I'm
go
afraid.
near it. I'm
I
telling you
thought,
now.
yeah,
Don't go
I thought
fucking
you'd be
near
like,
it.
no, I'm
No,
going to do like a live unboxing on the podcast, but you voted against it. So now I'm even more scared than I was.
no. I'm just saying, like it probably is just a French thing. Maybe that's
Maybe
where they
it's a lot
keep their
of
baguettes or something. Maybe the wife doesn't know he smokes, and that's where he keeps a packet of fags hanging off the side or something like that. I don't know, but Jesus Christ, that's flopping outside your window, like.
yeah, I thought it was a ghost. Like, I live in the first floor and there's nothing ever outside my window. And there was something I was like, what the fuck is that? And it's a bag like clearly hanging from one of the upstairs floors down outside my window.
No, don't go near it. Don't go near it. I'm telling you now, there's something in my bones telling me you don't want to look in that bag.
Okay.
Don't.
Okay. All right. If I'm not here next week, well, it could
Yeah.
be many reasons, but sure,
Jesus Christ.
we'll
Oh,
see. We'll see. This is my first near death experience of 2024.
you
Actually,
know,
it's my second, but I don't want to talk about the first one.
no, 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 no.
A very blah blah car.
Jesus Christ, no, we don't have this. We're trying to make these podcasts shorter. Uh,
No, definitely not the time or place. Okay, well, Thank you everyone for joining in this week's party.
Fantastic stuff. Right, till we chat you again next week. Keep pushing the ditches. If you want to make contact with us, Banana Capeless, Tom O'Mahony, at most the usual places you'll find us. If we got anything absolutely wrong, if you want to kind of fill us in, your own opinion on anything, or a question you want to ask, or something we should be talking about, feel free to fire it off to us. Don't forget to hit subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to, and share. That'd be great. Because and give it the 5 stars. If it is Spotify you're listening to, give it the 5 stars or whatever you're allowed to do, because it allows more people to see it. Other than that, I think Ihawa and stay away from the bag, for Christ's sake, Anna. I know you're tempted.
Come on.
It's the banana